For over a century, qualifying at Monza has meant pure speed. It is time for some magic once again at what should be one of the very best qualifying sessions of the season. Round 16 and an ultra important hour in terms of the championship ahead. They call this place the Magic Track. It is 5.7 kilometers, 3.6 miles, and it is rapid. The chicanes, the Lesmo corners, and the Parabolica stand in front of the drivers, and a great position on the grid. Iconic timing tower on the left-hand side. The Pirelli tyres on track for the graphic. The C5, the C4 and the C3 tyres available for the race will be on the softs earlier on. And this is the edge of the Royal Parkland and the red wall. The Tifosi are here, they are raucous, and after FP3 saw Charles Leclerc in the mix, they are expectant. Historic Monza, the third permanent circuit built anywhere on Earth, is ready for an hour of qualifying that really matters. Earlier on, George Russell was fifth, Max Verstappen fourth, Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, was in third. Charles Leclerc was in second position, 0.02 of a second away from Lando Norris, who has been setting the ultimate pace so far this weekend. That is the look that we have become so accustomed to through the years. On the left, on the right. Oh, and it's all right. Q1's just a few seconds away. Start them young. A young Ferrari fan ready and waiting for what should be a brilliant session. And the conditions for you. Always like to tell you what we've got here. The track temperature is 44 degrees. The air temperature is 26. We will get a green light at the end of the pit lane in a few minutes' time. A reminder of where we are in the traditional format of the weekend. 60 minutes of qualifying, 53 laps, and what is likely to be a rapid race. Highest average speed of the year, could even be the fastest ever recorded Grand Prix. We were 20 seconds away from that last year when this man won. Ferrari in a slightly altered livery this weekend, paying tribute to Niki Lauda's title win 50 years ago. Ferrari aren't in title contention, but they look racy this weekend. Always seems to be the case. No matter what type of season Ferrari are having, when they come here to the Temple of Speed, they're suddenly back in contention. 2023 showed us that. Dominant from Max Verstappen all the way through the year. When we came to Monza, it was Carlos Sainz on pole there. Charles Leclerc 0.02 of a second away from this man in FP3. You can see Ferrari second in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren will retain their title, but it's Lando Norris 34 points back when it comes to the World Championship battle after that cruel heartbreak of the failure that McLaren said was their fault, not Mercedes' fault, was the power unit. It was an oil line that let go and changed the game for the remaining 9 Grand Prix of the year. Max Verstappen had a torrid time here last year, way out of contention. That is not the case when it comes to Formula One in 2025. He is a contender to get in the mix later on. First thing you got to do though, get through into the top 15, and qualifying is about to begin. They're queuing up in the fast lane of the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton was given a wonderful reception when he first came out of the pits in qualifying early on, and he will get that again, even on the outlaps. The Tifosi cheer for those racing in red, and for the first time, Lewis Hamilton is going to enjoy a pressure session wrapped in the red of Ferrari, as they are in the crowd. A driver who knows how to put it on pole position and win the Italian Grand Prix is David Coulthard. He's alongside me as we get a green light at the end of the pit lane. Okay, DC, what's the secret around here?
Well, it's about keeping your nose clean in these early laps. You got the busiest moment in qualifying with all the contenders out there. So getting a clean lap, if you get a distant tow as well, it makes it just that little bit easier. You feel talented on the straights when you've got a car there punching a hole in the air in front. So I think for the main contenders, Charles Leclerc there, the Ferraris, the Mercedes, the Red Bull of Max Verstappen and the two McLarens, this is absolutely just getting your eye in. This is fairly straightforward. So it's a question of who at the back of the field might be able to cause a bit of an upset here. But the key thing on the Temple of Speed is momentum. You just cannot scrub any speed anywhere.
Lewis Hamilton queued up at the moment. A reminder for you, he has a 5-place grid penalty from wherever he qualifies in the session today. His first qualifying session for Ferrari at Monza. Driver who's yet to appear on a Grand Prix podium with them so far this year, but he does have that sprint victory back in Shanghai. And the cheers you can hear is because the red cars are heading out onto the circuit. And Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton have been waving at the fans. It was Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen and George Russell earlier on. Gabriel Bortoleto was a very strong P6. Lewis Hamilton down in 7th as the packed grandstands cheer for their drivers as you try to get your own private part of this famous old racetrack. Officially 11 turns, but 3 chicanes, a couple of right-handers and the Parabolica corner to conclude it all. There is the reception I was talking about earlier on, and it is worth saying we're talking about running the soft tyres, and we will be when it comes to it early on. Later on when it really matters, but Mercedes have gone out there on the medium tyre, something slightly different. We are at the softer end of the Pirelli range this weekend. The medium is the C4 tyre, the soft is the C5 classification for this weekend. And we're looking at Lewis Hamilton out on his own through Lesmo 1, past Lesmo 2, 104 career pole positions, and he can't change that this weekend with the grid drop, but he can get himself into the next part of qualifying. That's his aim, and he's looking for Q3 minimum. Charles Leclerc can take pole position, 27 for him, and he wasn't far away in final practice earlier on, running a slightly different crash helmet for this weekend, again paying tribute to that Niki Lauda title win 50 years ago. We've seen some wonderful Ferraris from the past out on track in between the competitive sessions, but this is a competitive session. Charles Leclerc's first run, he's heading down the iconic main straight, cheered on by the Tifosi, heading to the Rettifilo chicane.
Yeah, they're going to be all giving a little blow of wind from behind to try and reduce the drag on that long run down to that first corner, well over 200 miles an hour as he spot the brakes through the chicane nice and tidy. And now he's got a feel for what his tyre prep has been like. He can be a bit more adventurous in the second chicane, which again is pretty much a mirror image of the first, maybe slightly quicker through the second apex. And then as these 2 fantastic Lesmo corners, we had the chance to be out on track actually together, didn't we? And they're sort of blink and you miss it corners. One leads very much into the other, and we can see already someone has managed to drag some gravel onto the track, which is an inconvenience rather than at that stage of the corner a loss of grip.
Yeah, it was a great lap round. If you were thinking it was blinking and you miss it, imagine how I felt on the other side of the car. Carlos Sainz was the driver in front of Charles Leclerc through that corner before him out on track. Not saying it was him, but he was the one who was ahead. That is going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on as we go through the session. The man with 27 career pole positions takes the tightest possible line. This is the only track on the calendar that Charles Leclerc has won at multiple times. He was the winner here last year. He won it from 4th on the grid. It's Ferrari 1, it's Ferrari 2, 19.8 for Leclerc, 19.9 for Hamilton. The top 2 in the World Championship and the reigning world champion are all on outlaps at the moment, but it's Leclerc, Hamilton, Hülkenberg, Russell, Bortoleto, Alonso, Colapinto, Gasly, who has extended his contract all the way through to the end of 2028 with Alpine. Then it's Behrman, Stroll and Ocon who have times on the board.
So Hadjar there having to make his way around the outside in the long part of the lap between turn 2 down into the second chicane. Just having to go slightly offline when you're making your way past someone, psychologically somehow you just feel that you're being pushed onto the dirtier part of the track, and all of that has an effect.
Max Verstappen through Curva Grande, his first effort in Q1. If you're one of our newer viewers, we will lose the 5 slowest cars at the end of the session. First lap's being completed. Max Verstappen 4th in final practice earlier on. and he is hoping that he can fight for pole position today. He was much happier after practice than he was a year ago, where the Red Bull just didn't work, and you can hear the brush through the gravel on the exit of the second Lesmo. It was Carlos Sainz who dragged the gravel onto the circuit, and for that reason his lap time has been deleted on run 1.
Yeah, you could hear that, the gravel sort of rattling off the side of the car. It's not affecting your lap time at that stage because you've done the apex of the second Lesmo, but it just doesn't feel good. And also, these aerodynamics on the car are super sensitive to any sort of damage in pitting. So he continues on his lap, and we're about to find out how he opens this qualifying session.
Let's see where he stacks up compared to Charles Leclerc. Very close. 100th of a second away. Lewis Hamilton a 10th away. Hulkenberg looking strong once again. Bortoleto found himself in P6 earlier on for Sauber, so they've had good form around here. As we check in with Lando Norris, who has the fastest middle sector so far, Jolyon Palmer.
He's been so quick through that middle sector all weekend, and he's been so quick through Parabolica all weekend. So the two McLarens are out now trying to get the first time on the board. Verstappen is closer to Ferrari in terms of the downforce trade-off. He's quicker on the straights, not so quick through the corners as these guys. Norris puts it so tight on the exit of Parabolica as well to minimise the distance. And there we go, it's the fastest final sector as well. So straight into it for Lando.
Visibly quick, which seems such an obvious thing, but you could see the difference of the body language of those two McLarens, especially Norris, in comparison to Leclerc and Verstappen. Now, maybe they're just a bit more sort of intent at this point in qualifying than the others, who are just looking at systematically getting through to the final two parts of Quali. But that's definitely a sort of mark in the sand from Norris.
Yeah, the cornering speed they've got is just significantly more than any of their rivals. The straight line speed isn't. So actually, the race, even if they lock out the front row, it could be interesting tomorrow with the tactical choice they've taken.
Here's Carlos Sainz heading to the second Lesmo corner, and that's the gravel that we saw in the path of Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, just desperate to get on the power, but not able to rotate the car there for the second Lesmo. The Williams has been quick with a planted rear end, but a little bit of understeer, and that was just the understeer there that led to the gravel.
Yeah, so Verstappen, that was an error as he went through the apex there as well, as you see the brake dust coming off the Williams and then that under rotation at the first chicane. So when we joined the end car with Verstappen, it looked and sounded very much that he was just picking up Sainz's gravel, but he made the same mistake.
Easy to, and Lesmo 2, isn't it? Those two corners in the middle of the circuit, the least hyped around Monza, but they're so tricky, and you do find the gravel, especially Lesmo 2. You don't want to get on that apex curve because it will just spit you out wide anyway. It kind of tightens at the apex towards the exit, and it is difficult, as we see Lesmo 1 with a new contract man, Pierre Gasly, announced today he's going to be staying for a few more years. Would love a little bit more pace.
He certainly would. This team switching from creating their own power unit to buying one from Mercedes. Mercedes expected to have a very strong power unit for next year. Pierre Gasly loves this date. 5 years ago, he became a Grand Prix winner for the first time, and he's got that contract extension announced this morning. He loves this racetrack, always has done, and he has been struggling when it comes to the timing pages so far. 18th earlier on for a former winner around these parts, and not much left to do. Up through the gears now, and he goes up to 10th position, half a second away from the pace. For reference, everyone was within a second earlier on, first to last, covered by 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, it's just spectacularly close around this long racetrack. And Colapinto there doing a much better job. He's been matching Gasly all the way through free practice, and he's had the hurry up from Flavio Briatore.
Yep, they were with Gasly signed now. All the attention focuses on Colapinto, and Gasly was already there for next year, but just cementing his place as team leader. What happens alongside him? It's a decent first lap there for Franco Colapinto.
Fernando Alonso has gone into second position.
Second set of tyres for actually both Alpines and Fernando Alonso, so they've gone early, which is a signal of intent. It's a signal of intent of just get through to Q2, please.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like this track has suited the Aston up until this point, but that second set of tyres, you get your eye in, you get the confidence, and of course there's still a little bit of track evolution.
Russell's still out there on the medium tyres. Kimi Antonelli has improved, but only to 15th position, and Russell goes fastest of anyone so far. Yeah, the Aston Martin loves a racetrack where you bolt on the downforce. This is the fastest of the year. when it comes to the average speed around the circuit. Bortoleto goes into 4th position, and Russell's fastest on the mediums. Let's see what Sainz does. His time was deleted for running over the curb. His second effort puts him to P3.
Wow, track grip coming up. That's the same set of tyres that he lost the lap on, so he's not put a new set of tyres on, unlike Alonso, and he's gone straight up to the sharp end. So he's got great form here. Carlos Sainz was on pole a couple of years ago, was a fraction away from Leclerc last year in qualifying. So he's been looking pretty tasty through the practice sessions as well.
Yeah, well, we caught images of his partner there looking like she's on an emotional roller coaster. Qualifying affects so many people in different ways.
Well, it means so much to them. Even for Carlos, lost points last time out in Zandvoort, hasn't scored that well. Looks like he's got a great chance this weekend, but loses the first lap to track limits, and suddenly you're like, no way, please, this cannot go away from me. And so digging out a lap like that will just relieve the pressure. DC, the Kimi Antonelli lap there, he's come through medium tyres, 17th. I can't help but feel him in his shoes there. He's probably like, I'm on the medium tyres though. You know, I've got to find a little bit more time next time. I'm going to come back into the pits, and it's natural to be 17th. He'll come back in and be like, oh no, George is top on the medium tyres. That's 7/10. It's a bit of a wake-up.
Yeah, psychologically, it's that classic thing. Where's my teammate? What time did he do? That's your reference. Now, you feel a lap. So even if you weren't seeing the lap times displayed inside the cockpit, you know whether it's, you know, the car's been talking to you and the lap's unfolded in the right way. But that puts him under a little bit of pressure on a weekend where he's under pressure anyway.
I was going to ask, do they need to be doing that? We've seen that with qualifying sessions earlier in the season where they've given him one run on soft tyres, for example. This is a driver who had good race pace in Zandvoort, but he is low on confidence right now.
Balance was okay, it just had no grip.
So they didn't need to do it. The obvious thing would be just get through soft tyres and we'll focus. Even if we have one set of tyres in the end for Q3, we have a...
Balance was okay, it just had no grip.
The car still has potential there, but you know, when you're not feeling the grip and now you have the offset from a medium to a soft and you're thinking, okay, now I need to approach this tyre differently, the warm-up's different, the way to lean on the tyre can be a little bit different. For a rookie, it's not ideal.
Yeah, I think what he'll be asking, or certainly what I'd be asking, is, right, what was George's tyre prep? What did he do on that medium that allowed him to deliver a time 19.4, puts him at the top? Not that that's going to have absolute bearing on the soft when he goes out, but it's all about building knowledge, isn't it? What could I have done better on that particular set of tyres?
But that's where going medium to soft isn't that helpful, because it's not necessarily the perfect translation. Anyway, he'll get back in this queue pronto and get a flying lap in. In fact, there he is, heading out behind the champ. So if he just follows Max, you'd think that's going to be roughly a good slipstream attempt from a distant toe and a decent amount of tyre prep. They should all know now, after 3 hours of practice, how to get these softs roughly in the window.
Following a 2-time winner of the Italian Grand Prix and 4-time world champion out of the pit lane, Antonelli is in the drop zone along with a former winner here in Pierre Gasly, Franco Colapinto in the other Alpine.
Guys, I'm alone in front. Exactly what we said we should not do.
Yeah, understood. We couldn't wait.
Ocon also in the drop zone and worried about being the first car punching a hole in the air. You never want to be that.
Guys, I'm alone in front. Exactly what we said we should not do.
Yeah, understood. We couldn't wait.
Races. He started 9th or better in the last 3 Grand Prix. He's last right now, and he's only 0.8 of a second away.
It shouldn't be a surprise to Ocon, though, because when you go out of the garage, you've been looking at your monitor, and then when you come on the pit lane, if you don't see any cars in front of you, they haven't sort of magically fast-tracked themselves to the second chicane. So, you know, that decision is something he could have slightly controlled by driving slowly out of the pit lane.
Yeah, well, he also has to right down the end of the pit lane, so he would have seen that no cars have gone out first. But, yeah, obviously they've discussed this. They want a little bit of a distant toe. We'll see a lot of the drivers now, as we see Antonelli lining up still behind Verstappen. You want to be somewhere not really closer than 5 seconds, but if you want to be about 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, you're going to get a little bit of benefit on the straights without losing on the corners. Might be even closer for Kimi here, coming down one corner to sort himself out. Problem is for Haas, Laura Muller there saying, you know, we couldn't wait, because the problem is literally if you ain't first, you're last for Haas. They're at the end. You either have to wait for everyone to go. You can't just budge your way in. So they just had to take the initiative there.
Ocon now finds himself behind the two Alpines, his former team on track. Big lap for Kimi Antonelli, 19 years of age, looking to escape the bottom 5 and take his place in the top 15, continuing his qualifying hour. His first lap on the soft tyres as he attacks the National Autodrome of Monza.
Not tidy enough spotting the braking through the first chicane. He's got, that's the Aston that's going to pull out of the way, but it'll all give him a little bit of a boost coming off the corner.
Yeah, and he's still got Verstappen just nicely positioned ahead of him as well. So a good personal best then for Antonelli in the first sector, where you'd take that distant toe off Verstappen. But now you don't want anyone really in front of you for these corners, the Lesmos, where he spun off yesterday.
So Hadjar is the driver at risk at the moment. Hadjar now in the drop zone. Ocon went out first. Ocon has set a time good enough for 11th. Behrman has set a time good enough for 6th position. The track is ramping up here. You've got to find the best lap time right now. And Antonelli is up against Alex Albon, but you would expect Albon to take a big step forward on his lap as well. Yuki Tsunoda going to P3 shows you that. You need your best lap right now if you're on track. There are some big names who are having good weekends, really at risk here.
Yeah, Antonelli's matching Tsunoda, so this should put him right up there in that top 3 or 4.
Over the line he goes. He finds the 11th fastest time.
Whoa,
so he's 1/10 slower than Tsunoda. He's 1/10. Tsunoda's 4th. Antonelli is 11th. It's incredibly close, closer than I've ever seen. He's 3/10 off the quickest.
0.3 of a second away, but Monza with the high speeds, and we know it's close. It was the closest ever top 6 here on the grid in Formula 1 history 1 year ago. Then we broke that record this year. It got even closer. Hadjar on the podium last time out, only to 15th. And a star of Zandvoort is at risk at Monza. Here comes Gasly. He comes over the line. Wait for Alex Albon in the drop zone. He is improving. Sector 1, Sector 2. Colapinto gets ahead. Hadjar at serious risk here. We'll wait for Alex Albon. Here he is. Here's the danger man for Hadjar. Can he escape? He does, but only to 15th position. Hadjar to the drop zone. Stroll can't make it out. Colapinto, Gasly, and Liam Lawson in the pit lane. Isaac Hadjar's only half a second away from the pace, but he's out. Extraordinarily close at Monza.
Yeah, and Hulkenberg has gone quickest in that first sector, looking like he's getting the advantage of the toe from Bortoleto. So let's see where the two Saubers place.
So 7th for Bortoleto, Hulkenberg in 13th, and he will go chasing his first Q3 appearance of the year because he's made it through into Q2, and that is Hadjar back down to earth. Stroll half a second away as well, Colapinto ahead of Gasly, and then you've got Lawson in the pits at the back. As we complete our final fast laps, we've dealt with the drop zone. Unusual to have dealt with the drop zone and see so many cars out on the racetrack. Piastri's dropped down to 10th position, and the timing stands and does not improve on Russell's time, which was set the fastest of all on the medium rubber.
Didn't even need to go back out on the soft. The confidence then of the lead Mercedes sitting on the top on the mediums. Norris does find a little improvement, so again, a bit quicker than Piastri on both runs on the soft, but that was the same set of tyres for the McLarens. Racing Bulls, Lawson at the back had a lap time deleted for track limits and is adrift, and Hadjar, hero to absolutely nothing within 6 days.
Just trying to understand where Russell found the time on that medium tyre. You've got to expect that the soft would give him more performance, but it wouldn't be the first time this year where it was Aston chose to go with mediums in qualifying rather than the soft.
That's usually been when we've had the C6 tyre, which is the Montreal tyre, it was the Imola tyre, and it was the Monaco tyre. So it's the street circuit special, and it basically doesn't work very well. Here we're one step harder, but we're still on the soft end of the range, C5, C4, C3, and Russell on that C4 has done pretty well. So that's wide track limits, but also just a 6/10 loss then for Liam Lawson.
That's the moment that cost him, and he's 20th in the order. Hadjar, Stroll, Colapinto, Gasly, and Lawson out in Q1.
We're out.
I mean, yeah, obviously, of course.
We're out.
I mean, yeah, obviously, of course.
why, of course, other than the time not being fast enough. I didn't see any sort of playbacks of an issue he had on the lap.
No, when the field's as close as it is, it doesn't take much going wrong to be knocked out in Q1. Lance Stroll's out there as well, his teammates up in 6th place, so the Aston Martin's actually done all right in the hands of Fernando Alonso, but small margins again making a big difference. Frustration from Hadjar, but how often do we hear a driver complain about tyre prep, about being released in the right window? We heard Esteban Ocon say, why am I out first? Well, he's through. He did an all right job just in clear air, focusing on himself. Sometimes you can really overcomplicate things.
Hearing that Isaac Hadjar had multiple mistakes on the lap at different corners, and we find the atmosphere in the crowd absolutely excellent, as you would expect. That's always the case here.
So both Ferraris, by the way, had to go back out on new tyres in that. Leclerc and Hamilton ended up well down the order, didn't actually put times on the board on those soft tyres at the end, but had to get out there and circulate on that tyre just in case, which will affect them later on in qualifying.
Okay, let's check in with Alex Brundle, who's analysing a lap for us.
Yeah, hi guys. I think they put Kimi Antonelli under quite a lot of pressure there, actually, as they did with George Russell. George delivering handsomely. Antonelli looked really nervous on that first set of medium compound tyres. A lot of hand movement going on. Eventually finds his way through to the next phase of qualifying in 11th. I just want to jump on board with you. And I completely agree with you, JP. Would have come into the pits thinking, OK, I'm on the mediums, that's reasonable. Spotted his teammates' effort and thought, wow, OK, that's quick. I've spotted something that kind of tends to indicate when a driver is feeling that little bit of extra nerves. Put yourself in the position of Antonelli, home Grand Prix. You've got all of that pressure on your shoulders. His hands throughout these laps, super quick and aggressive in the chicanes, tends to upset the car ever so slightly as he's changing direction, catches a little bit of gravel through the exit of the Roger chicane there. As he's progressed, though, through the session, he has started to sort of relax into it a little bit. His first lap on that set of medium compound tyres was super high in terms of its steering velocity. As he progresses through this lap, his application of steering becomes smoother and he kind of gets in the rhythm of it. So close to dipping a wheel in the Ascari chicane as well. A little bit of traffic as he makes his way down towards the Parabolica, and he's done just enough. My question for you, though, is coming off the weekend Kimi Antonelli has just had. I know that they might be trying to save a set of soft compound tyres for later on in the weekend. Did they really need to put him in the position where one lap was it in Q1 and have him have to deliver and just scrape through? Interesting stuff from Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, it's going from the medium to the soft is not the easiest part in Q1, and Mercedes were the only team that chose to use up a set of mediums there. It's all pre-planned, the tyre allocation. Kimi will have okayed it. Honestly, Formula One is also about performing and doing it on one lap. If you can't do it, you know, the margins are so tight, you are going to be found out, and a few times this year Kimi has. This time he's managed to at least find a pretty solid lap time the second time around. And, I mean, they could have made it probably fractionally easier, but it's Formula One.
This is the thing, actually, and I've noticed when you sort of talk to race fans around the paddock, people asking about Lewis's performances, some people asking about Kimi's. I can't help but feel, and saying this from the position of my stats are there for everyone to laugh at, I can't help but feel that the one thing that has never changed is the very best dial a time in qualifying, and then by the very fact that they start in a better position, more often than not, get the checkered flag first. So, you know, my question is, Kimi hasn't been as quick as George this year so far, except what? Miami?
Miami, that's it.
Anyone else?
No, that's it.
Just Miami.
Only one time in the Grand Prix format he's been ahead. One of the big shocks was Isaac Hadjar from the podium to a Q1 exit. Davide Valsecchi taking a look at that.
Alex, you're right, because both of the Racing Bulls had trouble and had a very tough qualify. in Lesmo where the problem is, because Ajar had a little mistake at the exit of Lesmo and threw away his lap time and probably compromised his quali. And look at it, used the gravel and then lost the speed and was much higher in this sector, so probably it cost his qualifying. And Loso, the corner before Lesmo won, lost the rear, he went to the gravel and ended up his qualifying in the last position. So also in the Ascari, look at it, oh, the exit was just too wide. He lost it and he had to back off. Very tough qualify for them. Only last for Nia Lawson. He needed a very good performance. We'll see tomorrow. Back to you.
Thank you, Davide. We had a slight delay to the second part of qualifying happening because the track was being swept for all that gravel that was brought from the runoff to the racing line. And we thank the marshals for that work. And in 28 seconds time, we'll get a green light at the end of the pit lane and we'll get going once again for the second part of qualifying, which does feature Yuki Tsunoda, and he will be back out there in a moment. A reminder for you, if you've just joined us, Hadjar, Stroll, Colapinto out qualifying Pierre Gasly for the third time since they became teammates. Former winner Gasly in 19th, and Liam Lawson making it 2 Racing Bulls falling at the first hurdle.
So, I've not been to your home, Alex, but are you a fan of gravel, or are you more of a tarmac man? I personally think gravel means consequence, and as annoying as it is to clean up, it's a good thing.
It's a couple of minutes. We got to hear some more analysis. The sun is out in Monza. It's an old school venue.
It looks better, doesn't it?
I love a bit of gravel.
Great.
I love a bit of gravel on the outside. Yeah, you see that lap time's deleted, but it's better than talking about track limits, isn't it?
Yeah, how many tons does it take for your drive? It's probably granite as well, isn't it?
We'll get the data team on that one. We have a green light at the end of the pit lane. We have a few outlaps being completed at the moment. Sainz is out there ahead of Albon. Albon under pressure in the end, finding himself 0.4 of a second away from the benchmark pace, but crucially getting through. You feel for Williams, who are full steam ahead for 2026. This is a big opportunity for them. It's not a day to let your chance go. It's been 8 races since Carlos Sainz had made Q3 back in Zandvoort. He's trying to keep that momentum going in the head-to-head battle with Alex Albon. He's found himself on the back foot, but it's 8-7 to Albon. Albon got a 3-0 head start. Sainz came back. That's been an interesting pairing. Close in qualifying, big gap between them in the World Championship when it comes to overall points. Sainz has just 16 points. Alex Albon level with Kimi Antonelli in the battle for 7th place. He's got 64. So contrasting fortunes, but evenly matched in terms of the one-lap pace.
Literally a quarter of the points then. But not the
quick maths.
Yeah, so that's such a neat fit. Good form around this circuit, as I said, and I was actually speaking to the Carlos Sainz camp yesterday, and it was, you know, a lot of chat about the penalty he got in Zandvoort, various other things about Williams for next year, but they were very much adamant, look, we need to finish this season well. 9 races to go. Obviously lost out, not really because of the penalty last time out. That was a subplot. It was more the incident that caused the penalty. And it was another chance of points gone for them. This is such a good opportunity for Carlos. As I said, circuit that he's very good at. He's got great form. It was quicker than Lando Norris in their 2 years together at this circuit. It was one of his best, even in the rivalry with Lando. He's one of his best in the rivalry with Charles. These are 2 of the fastest drivers, so it's no surprise to see him ride up there today.
Yeah, driving this lap so far, nice and tidy. And there's one thing for sure, Carlos Sainz, although fully focused on that challenge alongside Alex Albon, he will have had a little look at Lewis's performance relative to Charles, and that becomes another little gauger, doesn't it? Well, I did this relative to Charles, and Lewis is doing that, so what were Ferrari thinking?
Do you think he'll be enjoying seeing Lewis struggle up against Charles? When you left McLaren, were you enjoying seeing the results of the incumbent drivers?
Yeah, Montoya came and replaced me, and he definitely came with a lot of fanfare and a lot of great results and a lot of potential. So I think they made a wise choice in terms of signing him. But 1 year later, he was out of the team because it didn't work out. So it was a slightly volatile mix.
And you sort of feel like, yeah, Kimi Raikkonen is extremely good, guys. It's tough to go up against him. And it's a little bit the same with Charles Leclerc now.
Yeah, I breathed a sigh of relief when Mika retired, only to find out that there was a younger, faster version called Kimi that had joined the team. So writing was on the wall for me.
This is the Ascari chicane with Alex Albon dipping a wheel in it once again, blowing the lap, his first attempt, and going beyond. So many drivers have done that this weekend. You never used to be able to, but they resurfaced the track last year and put a more forgiving curb in there, and plenty been going deep.
It's amazing, isn't it? You've flattened the curbs so everyone mullers them, and then they find the gravel and bring the gravel back onto the circuit. And there's so many places around here where they do have gravel that can come back onto the track. The Ascari chicane has been the revelation in recent years with the flattening curbs. That was used tyres for both Williams, so no massive loss there.
We're nose cam with Max Verstappen, two-time winner of this Grand Prix, including winning 10 in a row here in 2023. Majestic record, and might not, given how competitive Formula One is, might not see that, but then occasionally someone gets a rule book right and then rattle off the victories. But incredible achievement, dominant campaign. Red Bull have faded from that position, but he is having a much happier weekend than 1 year ago, and he is heading to the chicane we were talking about, underneath the old banking, last used for a Formula One Grand Prix in 1961, and into Ascari.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic lap that unfolds here, given that how much of it Julian is sitting on the straight essentially, but there's enough interest in each of these different corners to link into a great lap.
And you have so much time to think about them, don't you? As we ride on board with Max towards the Parabolica, all of the time I'm thinking, should I go 50 metres on the brakes? Should I go 55? I'll meet in the middle and do 52 metres on the brakes and turn it in. You have so much thinking time. Again, we could be herring down to a first corner. We're going to back off here because he's finishing the lap, and a very quick one at that. But you have so much time, and it's so important to get your braking right, especially on this track more than ever, because there are only 6 corners. The braking leads to the mid corner, which very quickly will find your exit as well. And if you miss the braking, you compromise your exit, particularly the chicanes.
Verstappen fastest, George Russell a tenth and a half back. Ollie Behrman looking to try and tie the head-to-head battle between him and Esteban Ocon. 8-7 down coming in to this weekend. 16th Grand Prix of the year, and we're on board with driver number 16, Charles Leclerc, taking it to the line and going third fastest, 0.2 of a second away.
We need to box this lap.
And that's an instruction to come back to the pits.
We need to box this lap.
Come back to the pits, and he was preparing. There we go, we're on board now with the McLaren driver.
Yeah, no indication as to what that is, which could be something as simple as they didn't put fuel in when they were sitting in the garage.
That's what I was thinking. If it was a bigger reliability concern, you'd normally hear don't change gear, keep the revs low. You'd hear some further instruction, but just come back into the pits. Feels like it is something fairly basic.
So Norris back in, championship leader, 10th and a half away in third, finding himself 4 thousandths of a second slower than George Russell's efforts, and back into the pits. Lando Norris is pushed.
Just upsets the flow as well, though. When you're trying to be taking pole position, you've got the championship still in the balance. You need to hit back, and he's had the weekend that he's had so far, which is very good.
Turn 1 first chicane. It's going to be going deep.
Okay, so probably he's made the mistake, actually, and then the team have said, we don't have fuel for another lap, so just pit and we'll go again.
So that's the action at the moment. No time on the board. Everyone else does have a time on the board. And Albon's gone back out there on a new set of soft tyres. His earlier effort was on the old one. 7 minutes to go. Norris without a time to register. Fastest benchmark is Max Verstappen. Bottom 5, Ocon, Sainz, Hulkenberg and Albon, along with the man that you're looking at. Thumbs up from Will Joseph. They're going to send him back up.
Is that a new set of soft tyres? It is. Shiny softs for Norris, so no chances taken there for McLaren with a potential flat spot on the lockup. Have you seen Paul Tiletto's time? All the top 4 are new soft tyres.
Yeah, very impressive. There's something. Bortoletto's just been finding form these last few races against Hülkenberg, who is, as we know, or has been certainly one of the quickest single lap guys in Formula One. So, yeah, Bortoletto is definitely impressing. And, well, just thinking for Norris, that little mistake there, easy to do in that big stop down into the first chicane. But, again, it just puts a little bit of pressure on him now. It disrupts his sort of run towards the final part of qualifying.
He wants to have a time on the board already. Look at all the top 8 in the pits, back onto the usual plan, another set of tyres if they need it to try and dial in, or they can sit there and wait and save a set. But Norris is out there and he's burnt through a set already with the flat spot, and that's why Albon's time is only enough for 13th, because he's in too deep at turn 1 as well. I wonder if the wind's just picked up on the tail there down towards turn 1. Still feels remarkably still. Was in the pit lane just before we came on air here, and there was like no wind at all, but all the drivers seem to be struggling with a pushing tailwind.
All talking about that down at turn 1.
Okay, Lando, it will be tight for push, cool, push. So aim for it on the first. I'll update you as to what we can do from there.
Well, that would suggest that they did have a bit of fuel, but I think they would have just put them out of sequence if they'd done that next lap.
They've refueled, haven't they? So I think they initially were just going to go out one flyer. You're absolutely hunky-dory this weekend. Just do another lap. But now this is no chances, McLaren. 5 minutes on the board. They can't afford to fluff it again. But just...
Okay, Lando, it will be tight for push, cool, push. So aim for it on the first. I'll update you as to what we can do from there.
A big long straight like here in Monza, it's a bit like in tennis when the ball's coming up high and you've just got to smash it.
Thinking
and you
time.
see professionals make a mistake because they've overthought it.
It becomes so much harder, doesn't it? Is this the same in tennis as it is in Formula One?
So you're saying you want to be driving on instinct rather than thought?
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I thought about it, that's when it all went, that's when it all went Pete Tong. But, the very best are just instinctively brilliant.
Lando Norris with a 26.5 through the first sector. He's the only one out there at the moment who is attacking. Everyone else is thinking about prep laps. Red Bull's emerging, and he's only 0.08 of a second up on the 10th place man, Oliver Behrman.
Problem is, I think he's now driving cautiously. So I think he's obviously had the mistake. He's now second-guessing himself, and he's thinking, just get one on the board. But he's got to stay on this set of tyres now. He will have another chance, as we heard Will Joseph, to do a cool lap and a push again. But everyone else is in the pits or leaving on a new set of soft tyres, so he's got to jump right up.
Where does this put the driver second in the World Championship? It is 7th position for Norris.
It's not enough. I don't think that's going to be enough. Antonelli leaving the pits. Hamilton's got a lot of potential to try and improve. Sainz in the Williams has been quick.
I'm not sure that's a hydration drink in that particular bottle. He's like, gulp, okay, right, we might be under pressure here.
Well, he's behind Tsunoda, he's behind Bortoletto, and those guys have got another new set of soft tyres to go on. So Lando is under big pressure here in Q2.
So this all unfolding after a moment off the road at the first chicane of the racetrack that runs to 3.6 miles. Drive to beat at the moment is Max Verstappen. Oliver Behrman is in 11th. Two-time Monza winner Fernando Alonso in 12th position. And then it is Esteban Ocon, who used to have good qualifying form here, but he's trying to make it through into Q3 for the first time since 2018 around this racetrack. And then you've got Alex Albon, who remains in the pit lane. According to our information, his teammate's just gone through the first chicane, so I'm sure he'll peel back out in a moment. And Hülkenberg on an out lap hasn't made Q3 all year long, having done it over 10 times last year. We're looking at Kimi Antonelli, the Italian teenager, at his second home race of the season.
Under pressure in 8th, but he's done a decent enough first lap to be in the top 10. Hamilton under pressure as well in 9th. I wondered if he could make it into Q3, if he could help out Charles Leclerc, given Lewis has a 5-place grid drop, but he needs to make it into Q3 first for that to even be a conversation there at Ferrari.
Yeah, Hamilton has had some early exits, the 6th best qualifier on average. 2 of the last 3 qualifying hours he's exited before that top 10 shootout. That's what we're aiming for. 2-minute warning, final efforts, track at its best, and you need your best lap now when it counts. Ocon has not found the first sector he was looking for. It's not even a personal best for the Frenchman.
Norris comes through and starts another lap on that same set of tyres as well. So he's on a one-lap used set, effectively now. Same heat cycle, but he's going again now.
Yeah, small improvement there from Antonelli in the Mercedes. He's currently down in 8th place. But yeah, there's nothing worse than, as you mentioned there, Ocon, when you don't deliver an improvement on a new set of tyres, you just know the margins make it so difficult. You've got to take more risk in the second and third sector.
So Behrman is close to Sainz's time. Antonelli is going very nicely. He's being compared to Max Verstappen out front.
Norris is done. He's not improved the first sector, so if enough drivers can improve, he's going to be in trouble.
So Lando Norris is really at risk now. He went through the first sector with a 39.0. There's a mistake in there for Lando Norris. Behrman puts Norris to 8th position. That's a great lap from Ollie Behrman under the pressure. Antonelli goes to 2nd place. Strong from him. Norris to the brink now. Hamilton is in the drop zone. Alonso comes over the line. He's in 7th position. Hamilton trying to improve, and he will improve. This is going to knock out Lando Norris. He comes across the line with Charles Leclerc. What can Lewis Hamilton do? This is crucial for the World Championship. Hamilton will be over the line in about 10 seconds' time.
Norris has enough time to go again. Has he got the fuel to? Was this the plan, or is it a mistake?
So Lewis Hamilton, can he stack up and demote Lando Norris out of the top 10? He gets to 8th. Lewis Hamilton does improve, and Lando Norris is still pushing on. Hulkenberg gets to 12th position, 13 seconds on the clock. Last chance saloon for Lando Norris.
He starts a flyer, so he's got enough fuel to do it. I wonder if this was the plan, but it is putting him under huge pressure with the title at stake.
Yeah, but great slipstream down to the first chicane, so will that be enough to just give him a little bit of wriggle room?
He's got Oscar Piastri as the car directly in front of him. He goes past him into the Roger chicane, the second chicane. Alex Albon, personal best, sector 1, sector 2, trying to beat the benchmark of Oliver Behrman. Left-hand side of your screen, Norris scrambling to try and make the top 10 shootout.
He's done a good first sector. He was right up to the gravel. There's no chance taken on this one for Lando.
Only 14th position for Alexander Albon, and the Friday promise for Williams fades away. Norris looking for a clean lap to get through. Oliver Behrman is the driver that he's being compared to, and he's up, but he's only up by 0.02 of a second.
He's already had the go on brand new tyres, so this tyre is now starting to get hot at the end of the lap.
But he is heading to the corner where he has been mighty. He's got cars in front. Will they be aware? They peel out of the way. This is not ideal, but will it be enough? He has been so good through the Parabolica all weekend long. Is it good enough for the top 10? Lando Norris fights his way through and finds 5th position. Man, did he need that.
Did you hear the way he attacked the entry to the Parabolica there? That was no chance taken. Banging it down another gear, getting it to 5th, getting the rotation there, and a short shift back to 6th for the acceleration, the traction zone on the way out. So close.
Behrman, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Albon and Ocon are out, and that was part of the plan for McLaren, but he delivered at the end there. They would have been nervous. 0.02 of a second, 2/3 of the way round, really in the balance.
He danced it on the way into the Parabolica. You could just feel the rear grip was absolutely on the limit, particularly with that extra downshift, which he likes to take there to get the rotation.
That's P14, P14. Yeah, I didn't get the same tyre as I did in the run 2 lap. Okay.
Yeah, you get that occasional different feel from sets of tyres, all hand-built, of course, by Pirelli, and it's not only about tyre prep, it's about the actual compound.
That's 13. Hi.
Well, that's a load of promise that's gone down.
Okay, that's 13. Hi.
What happened to them having a great weekend? Barely found anything from Q1. Sainz found just 1/10 of a second. Everyone else is finding more as the track's rubbering in. And it's another one where they're just protecting their 5th place in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, look at that. Just under 3/10 covering that top 10. Spectacularly close.
Really was. Lando Norris Oh, left it late, but he finds his way into the top 10 shootout, 10th and a half away from Max Verstappen, who was fastest, from Kimi Antonelli, who has made his way into the final part of qualifying. Let's check in with Davide Valsecchi.
Alex, boys, very great performance for Antonelli. We need to consider that yesterday he had that mistake in free practice 2 and he lost all the second part of that practice, including the race simulation in the evening. And this morning suffered a bit in the poor performance. Q1 was okay, but was not perfect. Q2 is up there. Performance is important. Seems that he can feel the love and the passion of the Italian crowd supporting him, and then he's going to launch for the Q3. Maybe it can be his day. Seems that he's very confident. I'm a bit personally disappointed about Williams. I was thinking Williams could have a very important qualifying. Both of the drivers out in Q2, and I'm surprised about Albon because he had this big toe in the last try, good in the first sector, and then it ended up in 14th, and I got surprised by them, a bit disappointed about the performance, and we'll see tomorrow. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Davide. Appreciate your analysis. Davide Valsecchi down in the paddock for us. We are looking trackside at all of the huge grandstands down there. You can see the old banking there on the left, but plenty cheering for Ferrari. Let's check in on a dramatic old session for Lando Norris. Alex Brundle, you're going to tell us it was all part of the plan.
It definitely wasn't. It was a pressurised moment of Lando Norris's own making. Fascinating to listen in over the radio. The initial plan was 2 cool laps to deliver a lap at the end of the session. Norris was given the opportunity just to do 1 cool lap with the traffic around him. That would have offered him a tow. He opted to go for 2, and they managed the second cool lap to get him to go across the line just at the right moment. It was ice in the vein stuff between Norris and McLaren on the pit wall. This is that eventual lap. The tyre is not only old at this point, but they actually had to do faster cool laps, if that makes sense, than they would have otherwise have done to get Norris into the position to actually deliver this eventual lap. All as a result of that mistake in turn 1 at the earlier phase of the session. It's a good lap from Norris, but the early phases of it are not that great, potentially because the tyre prep is not quite as he wants it. Then he just uses all of the downforce of this McLaren through the 2 Lesmos. But I think he realises about halfway through this lap, he's really going to have to attack this final sector in the way that he didn't on the first lap of this tyre. He was quite conservative. On the second lap with this tyre, he's very aggressive through the exit of Ascari, and then watch this into the Parabolica. His heart would have been in his mouth at this moment when the traffic just makes its way to the right-hand side of the circuit. Attacks on the way into Parabolica, the way we've seen him do all weekend. A little bit conservative earlier on, but he made it work when it counted, but they really put themselves up against it there. Fascinating to listen to McLaren on the pit wall sort out that little issue for Lando.
The little issue being getting through into the final part of qualifying, but they did it. Appreciate the analysis, Alex. Thank you very much for taking us through that onboard lap with Lando Norris. He is part of the top 10 shootout to set the major positions for the Italian Grand Prix grid.
Well, while Norris has been making it difficult for himself, Piastri is just kind of there or thereabouts, you know, incredibly close. But do we feel he's about to do a Zandvoort, suddenly pull the time? Somehow it feels as if he's a little bit more on the back foot here.
Yeah, I don't feel like he is. 2 sets of new tyres in there, still behind Max Verstappen, who managed to do it on just 1. This is so wide open, this session. I would have said Lando's been the form driver, but, I mean, where's he going to be at in terms of the mental state now, having just had to deliver the pole lap already at the end there just to make it through into Q3? Your adrenaline is through the roof. He should have just been, like, building up through the session rather than have that massive spike there. Can he keep it cool now and deliver on the new tyre? Apart from that, Verstappen's there. I think Russell's looking really good. Antonelli's just delivered a tidy lap as well. You cannot rule out Piastri. The one that I'm really surprised at is Ferrari. They really haven't shown pace yet in qualifying.
They have not compared to their practice form. The atmosphere here is superb as we get a green light at the end of the pit lane. If Ferrari can bring a little bit more than we have seen so far in the qualifying hour, that atmosphere will just ramp up and up and up. We saw that last year. But you're right, Jolien, it is completely wide open for the major places. We can see a shock as well. We've got Gabriel Bortoleto. He's back in the mix in Q3 for the 4th time in the last 6 races.
So he was 7th there, within 0.2 of the fastest. This is going to be closer than even the Hungarian Q3 at this rate, with the tightness of the front pack. I do wonder, I mean, even if I say Ferrari aren't that in the mix, Leclerc was 6th, was basically just over a 10.5 down. That's a big gap in the context of this qualifying session. If they can use Hamilton to help Leclerc, it's within range.
Yeah, sacrificial to support the overall good. There's a scramble of the cars to get out there first. What we don't have in comparison to Budapest, of course, is we don't have cloud cover coming over. We don't have wind direction that's playing a factor. You know, this is as calm and as still a warm late summer condition as you'll find.
I don't think Hamilton's going to be helping Leclerc certainly on this run, because he's out behind with a car in between as well.
Yeah, maybe they got on the radio to ask and he was like, sorry, radio problem. What did you say?
Yeah, it's a tough question to ask, isn't it? Hamilton's first trip to Monza in Ferrari red. Charles Leclerc knows what it's like to take pole position at this circuit on 2 occasions. He knows what it's like to win here on 2 occasions. And a strange stat that the fact that you go back in the last 24 years, 15 of the winners have come from pole position. That's the same tally as the Monaco Grand Prix. And yet the last 5, pole sitter has not converted. So strange. You can cut that stat either way you want, and that's what it's all about. Brilliant. At the first turn, Ferrari on the circuit, and they're inspiring the crowd. Here are the previous pole position winners: Norris, Sainz, Leclerc, Verstappen and Hamilton. Hamilton got into trouble, didn't he, with coming into the pits at the wrong time. Verstappen, Hamilton clashed in 21. Charles Leclerc did not have the pace in 2022. 2023, Sainz battled brilliantly at the start. And last year, Oscar Piastri went the long way round at the second chicane. And that's the story of pole sitters in the last 5 years for the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, pole, of course, is as good an indication that you managed to hook it all together. But all of that past performance being no guarantee of future success, none of it matters right now. They're now dialed in. They know the track, they know the car, they've got what they've got balance-wise, and this is the magical moment in many ways of the fastest point in the Grand Prix weekend is just about to happen.
This is where it went wrong on the previous effort for Lando Norris. He makes the first chicane, trying to give himself the foundation of run 1 being ultra competitive and then improve. He gets rid of a tear-off as he goes through Curva Grande. The Roger chicane is next for the man 34 points back in the World Championship.
This is where McLaren have been so strong so far through the weekend. He's bouncing a lot over that second apex curve. I thought he was going to spit him off towards the gravel on the exit on this one and the last one, but he's kept it neat and tidy, obviously feeling like he can get closer and over that curve in the Della Roggia. This is the tricky Lesmo too, and he punches out of there quite nicely as well. The first sector's never particularly good for McLaren. Piastri's slightly quicker, but that will get beaten by probably a few of them.
I'll tell you, Antonelli is not that far away from him in the mix there, maybe about half a tenth or so down on Russell. It's only really one big stop, isn't it?
Yeah, and so Leclerc's gone 0.3 quicker than Norris in the first sector, but the Ferrari will struggle in the middle part of the lap. Piastri's going quicker again in the middle than Norris. This is a good lap from Oscar Piastri.
Piastri, who loves dialing it up when it counts, and it counts right now. Q3, run 1, time to beat is a 19.4 for Lando Norris. Antonelli in the silver of Mercedes in front of the sea of red. He finds himself 0.2 back compared to the McLaren. Here's the championship leader across the line, and Piastri has done it again by an enormous margin, but Charles Leclerc is in this fight as well. First up, though, is George Russell. He's a tenth of a second away from Oscar Piastri. Hamilton is the fastest of anyone so far in the first sector, but it's Charles Leclerc across the line, and he's faster than Oscar Piastri. The red roar begins. Lewis Hamilton has a 5-place penalty, but let's just look at the lap time right now. Hamilton to the line, a tenth of a second away. Ferrari back in the mix, on the timing page at least. They're first and third. What about Max?
Verstappen's still going really quickly as well. Also trimmed out on downforce, and it's working right now in Q3. Up to the line for Max.
We've got Verstappen and Bortoletto still setting lap times. Verstappen across the line. Oh, he's taken it away by 0.08 of a second. Vintage qualifying at Monza, and it's only run one. Look at that timing page. Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, Hamilton, Russell, Bortoletto, Norris in 7th, half a second off. Antonelli, Tsunoda and Alonso. It's anyone's game.
Well, you just mentioned there Tsunoda. Tsunoda was sent out in front of Verstappen, so I think we're showing that their strategy is very much to use Tsunoda to give everything to Verstappen on the straights.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yuki's in position, he's in the top 10. He's got a chance to score points.
It's the tactic you were asking for, Joe.
I think Ferrari have a chance to do it here, but just because Lewis has the 5-place grid penalty. Without that, he's in contention as well. He's just done a good lap, only just over a 10th slower than Charles. But with a 5-place grid penalty, it's the difference of starting sort of 9th, maybe at very best he'll be 6th. Leclerc can be pole at Monza in a Ferrari. So, will they implement that for the second run? Lewis has had a fair crack at it there on the first run. They might throw everything at it for the second. Bortoletto was quicker on a used tyre than Norris on a new. That's not a good lap for Lando.
No, that wasn't a good lap. Now, while we debate what Ferrari could do, they absolutely should do it. If they don't do that, armed with all the information that you've just shared with us there about the penalty for Hamilton, Red Bull are going to do it.
Yeah, they have to, don't they? If they want to throw everything at winning this race, Charles Leclerc's the man to do it. Hamilton's carrying the 5-place grid penalty. He cannot be in contention to win this race without a safety car or some lucky timing tomorrow. So they have to throw everything behind Leclerc, and look how close he is just on his own there.
Well, a brilliant first set of runs for so many in the field. Hamilton will be ruining that 5-place drop, going too quickly. The install laps, not even a racing lap. 1 week ago in Zandvoort, too quick with the waved yellow flags as per any stage of the weekend, and that's why he got the grid penalty. Russell in 5th, Bortoletto, very strong for him, ahead of Norris on merit at this stage of the weekend, and it's Antonelli, Tsunoda and Alonso. But at the front, what tactics will Ferrari use? Will Red Bull repeat what we've seen again? So important that Tsunoda got through. And to place it in context, Yuki Tsunoda's only in Q3 for the second time in 10 races. So this was vital that Yuki got through, and he's playing the team game, a driver fighting for that seat next year in Formula 1.
Yeah, Red Bull are ruthless with it. They have been through all of this era, really, with Verstappen and his teammates that have struggled to match up, but they have at times played the team game, and it's been useful for Verstappen already there. Ferrari have a chance to do it. McLaren don't. There's no way either driver will help the other one, and that's the weapon that Ferrari and Red Bull can dangle over them. McLaren are in this position where the drivers are competing against each other, and Norris, for the championship here, has got to deliver one of his best ever laps.
Yeah, it just feels that the pressure's been building on Lando through this session. It hasn't run smoothly, and it's quite difficult, isn't it, to sort of etch-a-sketch your brain, rewrite everything before going out for what is the final run, your final opportunity.
So, first time around, Norris was the first car in the queue. This time he's out behind Piastri. So he can now choose if he wants a distant slipstream from Oscar. Oscar had a little bit on the first run from Kimi Antonelli, who was out on a used tyre. So they have flipped it around. It's like Ferrari haven't.
No, wrong way round. They've got Leclerc out first and then Hamilton.
Yeah, so they're not going to use Hamilton to help Leclerc. Leclerc, if he wants to take pole, is going to have to do it on his own.
Interesting questions for Fred Vasseur, if they stick to this. Sometimes you see things swap around later on. But remember, you've got Lauren Mecky's there. He's not been team principal long. Red Bull Racing has had that success with the sprint race back in Spa, but a tough run, not on the podium for 4 races for Max Verstappen. Put that right 1 week ago.
Verstappen's also nowhere near Tsunoda for this run. Yuki's the first car out. Verstappen is just through the first chicane now as Tsunoda's coming through towards Ascari. So the first run, maybe there was a bit of help. There's not going to be on this second run, and the track should be getting better and better.
Yeah, last guy out, or last 2 cars out, the 2 Mercedes, Antonelli Just out of the first chicane, followed by Russell.
We got the softs on. Is that right?
Safer.
Right, so one of the mediums.
Overruled for George Russell, and he said he wanted the medium tyres, so whatever reason, that Mercedes working well on that compounder tyre, the theoretically fastest tyre is the C.
We got the softs on. Is that right?
Safer.
Right, so one of the mediums.
Between the race driver and the engineer, that is a sort of, it has to be an unbreakable bond. How could they have misunderstood what tyre's going on the car?
What a stuff up. Driver wants the tyre that he thinks is best, that he's more comfortable with, and he hasn't got that.
He was 0.2 of a second away. Charles Leclerc looking for a 28th career pole position and a third at Monza. He's heading to the second chicane. He is 0.05 away from Max Verstappen. It's going to be fine margins. We could even see a track record around this place. Hamilton is not too far away when you compare, but it wasn't a personal best. Can Ferrari find more speed in the final corners? Charles Leclerc's definitely pushing to the edge.
Hamilton's actually 5 seconds and slipstreaming off Leclerc at this point as well, so he's got a slightly better first sector. Leclerc a little bit far away probably from Yuki Tsunoda ahead, and he's not putting it together.
That is where you'd expect him to struggle. They have trimmed out that Ferrari. Can he come back in the high-speed stuff? Personal best for Lewis Hamilton.
Piastri's first sector is not good. His middle sector is the quickest of anyone, though. Norris also quick through the first sector.
Has Verstappen done enough on run number one? Can they save their best until last? Piastri bringing the heat. Can Charles Leclerc improve at the end? No, he misses out, miles off that first effort. It's Lewis Hamilton coming across the line now. He doesn't improve either. Oscar Piastri is the driver that we'll be focusing on. He's in the background. We're on board with him. Championship leader misses out by 0.05 of a second. And now Lando Norris, is the door ajar? It is pole position for Norris, but wait for Verstappen's reply. He's going to be last over the line. They're celebrating at McLaren, but Lando Norris has been beaten by Max Verstappen by 0.07 of a second. It was Piastri, then it was Norris, then it was Verstappen. Verstappen has the fastest time. Antonelli gets to 7th. George Russell did not get the tyre that he wanted. And round the final corner for the final time. Russell over the line. Where does he put his Mercedes? He doesn't improve his time, and it will be Verstappen on pole position for the Italian Grand Prix. He's beaten Lando Norris by 0.07 of a second in a great battle all the way to the end. That's the all-time Red Bull record for the number of poles. He's 45th, and an outstanding one when he needed it. Max Verstappen doing the job once again, his 5th pole of the season.
He's just, to state the obvious, so solid. The way he built that qualifying session, not tripping over anyone, no big lockups or anything like that. And although brilliant lap from Norris in the end, not enough.
Pole position, Max. Fantastic work.
Yes, guys. Yes, that's unbelievable. Really, really good job. And it worked out. Relaxed there, it's all good.
He is relaxed. It is all good. Somehow, it's like they don't have the same pressure on them, of course, that the McLaren boys do. They're battling for that World Championship. But it just feels that although it was a great comeback from Lando, he put himself on the back foot.
He's actually done really well to dig himself out of that hole, because there were...
Pole position, Max. Fantastic work.
Yes, guys. Yes, that's unbelievable. Really, really good job. And it worked out. Relaxed there, it's all good.
First chicane tomorrow.
Max Verstappen scoring Red Bull's 108th pole position in Formula One that takes them past Lotus for 5th all time. The famous Lotus team winning so many titles in the 60s and the 70s. Max Verstappen getting that team record and elevating Red Bull's standing in the all-time list. A classic again. Max Verstappen's 5th pole position of the year, the joint most, And when it comes to Saturday, he has provided a magical moment at Monza once again. We wondered where Ferrari would be. In the end, 4th and 5th when it came to the end of Q3. Lewis Hamilton will have that grid drop. George Russell didn't get the tyre that he wanted. Kimi Antonelli will find himself up in 6th position. And what might have been for Ferrari, it's Gabriel Bortoleto in 8th, Fernando Alonso in 9th, and Yuki Tsunoda will line up in 10th place. Verstappen versus the McLarens in the end, and it was separated by 0.07 of a second around the 3.6 mile circuit. And as the gentleman to my right hand side have said, bring on the run to turn 1. Verstappen just trying to win the Grand Prix. Norris trying to undo the damage of 1 week ago when that man got 25 extra points to his tally. He scored none. And a first Ferrari qualifying session at Monza for Lewis Hamilton, who is walking back, and he finds himself not too far away from Charles Leclerc, but Charles Leclerc out-qualifying him once again this year, and their teammate head-to-head.
Well done, Max, well done. You were untouchable, untouchable.
Charles Leclerc. We're going to hear from the top 3 in a few moments' time. Everyone catching their breath. Rapid speeds out there, but another Verstappen special, and he has taken pole for the 16th Grand Prix of the season.
He was the master all the way through that, wasn't he? As you say, DC, every lap was there in Q2, 1 set of tyres to the top, and the same again in both laps in Q3, hooked up.
Nico Rosberg is ready to speak to the top 3.
Oscar, that's P3 in the end. I'm sure not exactly what you were hoping for. What went wrong there?
Nothing major. Turn 1 was a little bit average, but the rest of the lap all felt pretty tidy. So, you know, I feel like I executed a pretty good session. You know, built up to it a little bit at the start and found my feet. But I think it's just been incredibly tight this weekend. You know, Max and Red Bull looked quick this weekend. I mean, to be honest, a lot of teams looked quick. It's not been quite as comfortable for us. So, yeah, the result's not a big surprise, but yeah, obviously would have loved to be a little bit further up.
Is there a change now for you that you have such a huge points lead in the championship? It is quite big. Like, do you start to think about that in such qualifyings where you're like, okay, you know what, 3rd place, damage limitation, Lando is only 2nd. Do those thoughts start to come to you now?
No, I mean, when you're on the lap, you're going for it, and you're going for pole. You don't know what anyone else is going to be able to pull off, so in the moment, yes, you're going flat out. I think, you know, obviously afterwards it creeps in a little bit, but, you know, there's still a long way to go, and I'll try and make up some spots tomorrow because I'd like a few more wins if I can.
It's nice to see that there's a little bit of championship thoughts starting to creep in from time to time. Tomorrow's race, your car is fast, but Lando seemed to be quite a lot quicker in race practice on Friday. Are you going to be able to find that speed as well tomorrow?
I mean, I don't think it looked too bad from where I was. I think, you know, it's been just a little bit trickier for us in general. Obviously, I missed FP1 as well, so that was kind of my first long run, and, you know, the race is always very different. So I'm pretty confident for tomorrow.
Thank you, Oscar. Still all to play for tomorrow, even from 3rd.
Thank you.
Lando, I think that looked like a pretty great lap at the end there. Are you shocked that Max could beat you to it?
No. He's been Max has been quick all weekend, and it's never a surprise with Max. So, no, I mean, it was quite a session for me, just up and down, and too many mistakes here and there. But to pull it out together on the last lap was pretty happy. So I'm happy with P2. And is it still like a good feeling that you're in front of your championship rival? So he's P3. Is that then still kind of like damage limitation and still feels okay? I mean, I'm always, you know, I always kind of give my result depending on how I drove today. So I feel like I didn't do the best of jobs, but to end up P2, I was so happy with. So let's say good things and bad things. P2 is still not a bad position to be off the line. And I mean, I want to be ahead of everyone. That includes, you know, my championship contenders and Oscar. So yeah, no, I'm still a good position for tomorrow and excited for the race.
So on Friday, you had like super awesome race pace. Does that give you hope for tomorrow? You think you're going to be able to carry that over?
I mean, our race Sundays normally are our strength. But yeah, to get past Max, I'm sure it's going to be a big challenge. But we'll wait and see. Their pace was also very strong. If you see the end of the stint, they're doing the same lap times as us. So, you know, I don't expect any magical things. And we have some Ferraris behind who I'm sure are going to want to come through as quickly as possible. So it's a long race. Many things can happen, and we'll see what we can do.
All right. I hope you get that win tomorrow. Cheers, to keep that championship fully alive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Max, what an incredible Q3 in the end there. Was that the usual Max Verstappen magic?
I try, but I think around here, you know, with the low downforce, it's always very difficult to nail the lap. You know, under braking, it's easy to make mistakes also. But yeah, Q3 felt good, happy with the laps. And of course, to be on pole here for us also is fantastic. You know, the car's been working a lot better the whole weekend. And yeah, to be able to fight for pole, I'm very happy with that.
Did you actually think it was possible going into qualifying?
It was tight. I mean, we were still lacking a tiny amount. We made some final changes, which I think allowed me to push a bit more. And that's exactly what you need in qualifying. So yeah, for us, it's a great moment.
And then take us into the race tomorrow. You think you got enough there to also keep the McLarens behind?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, historically this season, the race has always been a little bit more complicated for us, but we're going to give it, you know, everything we have. I think that's the only thing that we can do, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Cool. Well, wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
And hoping for an exciting race tomorrow.
So are we. Nico Rosberg interviewing the top three. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, 5th pole of the year, a record-breaking one. No one has scored more for Red Bull Racing than him. And if you consider how many Sebastian Vettel used to rattle out for fun, that is a landmark moment for him. And the satisfaction, it did look possible. No one is happy on a Friday that he's going to be in the mix when it comes to this. But the top two drivers in the World Championship standings have been beaten by Max Verstappen. What a turnaround 1 year on. It was a excellent lap. In fact, it was a historic lap. An average speed of 164 miles per hour. No one has ever been round Monza as quickly as Max Verstappen. He's the pole sitter. Enjoy the post-show. We'll see you tomorrow.